It's been a bit since I've covered Adamancipator. I think the last time I covered it was back in the How to Deck Build video earlier this year. So let's take a look at what I'm testing now. My friend and I decided to build two different versions of the deck, which is the P.U.N.K Adamancipator build. Now, Adamancipator as a whole is definitely a deck that is still good, but has trouble going against a lot of the current meta. One of the things that P.U.N.Ks actually help with this is that it gets an extra monster on board when you need it. And being the level 3s are Earth, and it ends up giving you a trap that is also a negate on a monster is pretty good. So let's take a look at the deck. And the first card we have is P.U.N. No P.U.N.K Foxy P.U.N. This is a monster that you're only going to be tributing a P.U.N.K monster to special it from your hand, or you could send it from your hand or field to the graveyard. Send one card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one P.U.N.K monster from your deck, except a level 8 monster. This tutors out both your level 3s that you run. Now, one of the things with this can also prep your graveyard for things like Tackle Crusader or your Revival Golem. Tackle Crusader doesn't matter how it's sent to the graveyard, and Revival Golem, it has to be from deck to the grave, but if worse comes to worse, you have to discard it. Next up, we have Noah P.U.N.K Siamin. This is the level 3 that you pay 600 to add a P.U.N.K monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. And if it's sent to the graveyard, it boosts the P.U.N.K monster by 600 attack. And finally, we have one Joruru, or Joruri P.U.N.K Adamancipator. It is pay 600 to add one P.U.N.K trap from your deck to your hand, and when you activate a P.U.N.K card or effect that targets a card your opponent controls, quick effect, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, the effect becomes half until the end of the turn. And you can only use each effect once per turn. You're only using this to search out the trap card that we're going to be running, which is one of the Joruri P.U.N.K Dangerous Gabu. You target an effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn. Then, if you control a P.U.N.K monster, gain life points. The only important part is the negation effect, and this comes very handy since we lack parts if we get hand trapped at a certain piece of our combo. This just allows us to extend a little further that we need to, and we do get a disruption, which is nice. And to pair this engine, we're going to have 2 emergency teleport. I would be running 3 if I could, but with the ban list on the horizon, that probably will change, as P.U.N.K definitely deserves a spotlight for this. Then we have the one Call by the Grave because I wanted everything be even. Then we are running one Rock Band Xeno Guitar. In the OCG, they're running a 60-card variant of this deck that ran 3. The reason why is if this card is banished from your field or graveyard, you send a rock monster from your deck to your graveyard. So this is a card that could tutor out things like Block Dragon if you need it. You could banish it off of Gigantes, so you can get a dump for a rock that you kind of need. But also the first effect is more important as for the TCG, as if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one rock in your graveyard except another copy of this card, add it to your hand, then place one card from your hand to the top of the deck. So if you have this plus a Researcher, or whatever tuner that you have, mostly Researcher, you normal this out, special at the Researcher, then you can either opt into using the Researcher and synchro these two away, so you can stack your deck for Raptite, which is quite nice, or you can banish it off of Gigantes and get your Researcher back to hand if you didn't use it. So there's a lot of utility with this card. And now we have the Adamancipator line being 1 Dragite, triple Analyzer, triple Seeker, triple Researcher, and triple Signs. People were dissing this card at first, but this is one of the best cards in the deck, as it stacks your deck for 1 rock if you summon an Adamancipator monster. You could pair this along with Dragite if you're running Almirage, which is a very nice option because it gets you a draw and a stack, depending on your circumstances. After that, we have the generic rocks. I'm running a total of 11 targets. 3, 6, 9. Actually, 12 targets because 13. No, 11. First, we have Chimera Guardian, 3 of this, and 1 supplier. 1 supplier feels the best because I'd rather excavate it than drawing it in my opening hand. If you draw it in your opening hand, sure. you get to summon it from your hand, and you get to add a Koakai, Miru, or an Iron Core from your deck to your hand, which is nice, but I'd rather see Guardians most time than not. Gigantes is just a generic extender, which is nice. Doki Doki is a card that I'd rather hit off of Raptite or your tuners, so you could just extend more further. Tackle Crusader is a very wonderful card because no matter how it's sent to the graveyard, you can target a monster your opponent controls, change it to face down, or you return a spell or trap card to the hand. And this is actually very good against stuff like Imperial Order. And then we have the one Revival Golem because we're running Miracle Rupture. Very good combo because this just specials it from the graveyard, or you add this card from your graveyard to your hand. Most of the time you're going to be Foolish Burial the card because you're running 3 different Foolish Burials, which is nice. And finally we have 3 Ash Blossoms and Joyous Springs, just for the generic hand trap. Next, for the extra deck, we have 1 Baronne de Fleur, the 1 Dragite, 1 Raptite, 1 Herald, the 1 Gallant Granite, Abyss Dweller, Axis Code Talker, Appaloosa Bow the Goddess, Nightmare Unicorn. You also have your Asa, your Hulk, Geonator Transverser, IP Masquerena, Secure Gardna, and Link Spider. Now, some of the cards you could definitely put in are things like Borreload Savage over something like the Asa, the Earth Charmer, or Secure Gardna, but it's really up to the player who plays this deck. And you could do so many other options. Let's just put the Boral Savage in over the Secure Gardna because Secure Gardna isn't really doing that much. Well, let's take it to a test hand to see what we get. So we open up Seaman, a Foxy Tune. So this is one of the hands that's very weird because you can use the Foxy Tune effect, discarding the Seaman, summon out your Madam Spider, and then we get the effect of Noah Punk, and you're just gonna boost it up by whatever. So we're gonna pay the 6 to search out our Dangerous Gaboo. Now, since we have Miracle Rupture, we can use its effect, and we're gonna send our lovely Revival Golem to the graveyard, triggering its effect to special summon it. And you can run level 7s if you want. You can run pretty much anything at that point. We're going to normal the Doki Doki, and we're just going to summon out our Seeker because we want to use the Researcher later, as we are going to get a Guardian off the top of the deck, so we are Nibiru proof. And this is where it gets awkward, as you have Hulk play, or you could do a Raptite play, and I would rather do a Raptite play at this point. So we could dig further, and with only running 11 targets, you get a lot of good cards that you could summon. Like right here, I'm just going to summon out the Dragite, and we're going to get the search, or the draw for 1, which is another Doki Doki, which is fine, because I'd rather have a card in hand just for later. We can go into Gallant Granite if we want. We can also do Hulk for some plays. And I feel like Hulk is the best option since we can get rid of our Doki Doki here. We're going to use the Hulk effect, and this is where we're going to summon out our Researcher. So we can go and synchro into a Borreload Savage Dragon or a Dragite, but we really don't have any links right now. So what we were going to do is go all the way up into the Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, so then we can go into the Borreload Savage Dragon. Now this is going to equip the Hulk, and we get to set 1, and that's pretty much it for that hand. And let's do one more test hand, and this is where Xeno Guitar comes in really good handy. Now, only if we had something other than an Analyzer, this would be a perfect hand. So we're going to normal summon the Analyzer, and we're going to fire it. And we hit a Tackle Crusader, and that's pretty much it. So we're going to summon out the Tackle Crusader, and afterwards, we're just going to go into the Gallant Granite, because Gallant Granite is one of the best search cards in the deck, since it just adds a rock monster from your deck to your hand, which gives you the Researcher. And I remember people trying out a small Adamancipator package, just the Gallant and the Researcher, just to get a Hulk play going. Now with this, we're going to summon out the Doki Doki, and we're going to activate the effect sending the Xeno Guitar so we can summon out the Analyzer. Now, Xeno Guitar is going to trigger, but we're not going to because I don't want the Tackle Crusader back in my hand for now, as I'd rather just keep it there. Now, afterwards, we're just going to go into the Raptite so we could activate the effect, dig a few cards, and we get the Guardian. That's actually very good for this situation. We have our Miracle Rupture, so we are going to send our Revival Golem now, so we can trigger its effect to special summon it. Afterwards, we can go really into anything that we want, which is nice. So I feel like you can either go Hulk or really anything at that point, since we don't have much to go off of. So I think the Hulk play is the more prevalent play, but we could go into something like an IP using Revival Golem and our lovely friend. And then we could go up into a Dragite for a spell or trap card negate. Overall, the hands can be powerful, but sometimes they're a little weak, but it still gets to a good presence. Something like this is a free monster negate because of this. Because of Adamancipator. I really love this engine, and I feel like people are just sleeping on it because of what there is. Since this goes into the Analyzer, we're going to go up and summon out the Hulk with these two, just to get out of the way. Then we can go in and summon out a Researcher. Use the Analyzer effect, and we're probably going to hit something now, like a Guardian, which is very nice. So we're just going to summon out the Guardian. I wish we had a Signs, but things do happen. And we can go into Gallant Granite if we want. Or we could just go up into Raptite and combo up. So it all really depends on what you would like to do with this deck. That's one thing I love about it, and we could just keep going. Even with, I'd say, 11 targets, I'm still hitting every excavation, which is weird because my friend plays 13. And he's not getting this level of excavation luck. After this, I would just E-Telly. So we could summon out this one. And this just adds the last card to our hand. So after, we could just go to the Appaloosa. And finally, the Boral Savage. Granted, if this deck ever takes off, Nibiru would be ran again. Because Nibiru just hard counters the deck a little now if they don't use their Researcher early. But anyways, I hope you guys did like this little insight to P.U.N.K Adamancipator and a few test hands that the deck can do. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy, and see you guys in the next video.